All right. Shalom, family. It's your brother Kanaiba coming at you once again with this video titled Separated from Our God, Separated from Our Homeland. Okay. So in this particular video, what we're going to go into is we're going to go back to the basics. We're going to go back to the very reason why we were separated from our God, Yahweh, and why we were separated from our homeland. And as you can see in the thumbnail, I have the number 613 or 613 right here in the middle. Now, why is that? Well, in short, that's the answer to this statement here, okay? The reason we were separated from our God and the reason we were separated from our homeland is because of this 613, which represents what? The laws. The laws, statutes, and commandments, okay? There's 613 of them, okay? And once we broke those laws, okay, once we turned away from the laws that the Most High Yahweh gave us, that's when we were separated from our God and we were separated from our homeland, and we haven't been back since. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to get into in this particular video. Okay, this video shouldn't be too long. We're going to go into the scriptures. We're going to hit certain points and bring this video to a close. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the scriptures and let's get started. All right. So opening up, we're going to start with 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. Now, the reason I'm starting here is we have to establish the definition of what sin is biblically before we can actually move forward. Okay, before we can understand the other verses that we're going to get into, right? Because sin has a biblical definition, okay, according to the Bible. And this is it. So this is 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4. And it reads, it says, whosoever committed sin transgresseth also the law. For sin is the transgression of the law. So, like I just said, biblically, sin has a definition. And the Bible tells us that sin is the transgression of the law. What law? The law known as the Mosaic law or Torah. Okay, when you break that, that's considered sin. Okay, that's the definition of sin biblically. Okay, so sin is the breaking of God's laws, right? So we have to keep that definition in mind moving forward from this point. Okay, so now that we've established that, okay, let's get into the next verses. All right, so moving forward, this is Isaiah chapter 59 and verse 2, and it reads, it says, but your iniquities have separated between you and your God. Now, the word iniquity is really another term for sin, okay? But it's telling us that iniquities or sins is what has separated us, has separated between us and our God, which is Yahweh. Okay, it's sin. Now, let's finish the verse out. It says, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear you. Okay, that's why prayers are not answered sometimes, because of sin, right? But the point is, sin is what has separated, has put a separation between us and the Most High Yahweh. Now, we've already established in 1 John chapter 3 and verse 4 what sin is. Sin is the breaking of God's laws. It's the breaking of Torah. Okay, so when you break the laws, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave us, okay, that's what puts a separation between us and the Most High Yahweh. Okay. And we can see that to this day. Okay. When you look at so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you can see the separation there. Okay. We're going to get more into it as we move forward, but you can physically see that separation. Okay. But let me not ramble on. Let's actually move forward to the next verse. Okay. So this is the book of Baruch, chapter 3 and verse 2. And it reads, it says, "Hear, O Lord, and have mercy, for thou art merciful, and have put pity upon us." Now watch closely. "Because we have sinned before thee." Okay, now again, this is Baruch speaking right now. Now we know Baruch was a contemporary of Jeremiah. He was actually Jeremiah's scribe. And what he's speaking to right now is the siege of Jerusalem, okay, during the time of the Neo-Babylonians, right? Okay, when really more specifically, the southern kingdom of Israel went into captivity under the ancient Babylonians, right? But this is still applicable. This can still be applied to today, okay? Because we're in captivity under the modern day Babylonians, okay, which are the children of Edom. Okay, this is simply history repeating itself, right? So this still applies, okay? But the point being is, this is Baruch asking the Most High to be merciful and to have pity upon us. Why? Because we have sinned before the Most High Yahweh. We broke his law, statutes, and commandments. Because remember, that's the definition of sin biblically. Okay, sin is the transgression of the law, according to 1 John 3 and verse 4. Okay, so now let's skip down a bit. All right. So now moving down just a little bit, this is Baruch chapter 3 and verse 8. And it reads, now pay attention. It says, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity." Now, that's why I started at the top to give you the context, okay? Baruch already said or asked the Most High to have pity upon us. Why? Because we sinned before him, okay? Now, Baruch is talking about how we are yet this day in our captivity. So that should let you know why. It's because we sinned before the Most High Yahweh. This is a result of that. And Baruch is saying, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity." Now, again, this was during the time of the Neo-Babylonians, but still, to this day, we are yet in our captivity, okay? In modern day Babylon, or spiritual Babylon, okay? Babylon the Great. We are yet this day in our captivity. Why? Because we sinned before the Most High Yahweh. We've broken his law, statutes, and commandments. Okay. So it continues on. It says, "Where thou hast scattered us." Okay. We're no longer in our homeland of Israel. Okay. We're no longer there because we sinned before the Most High. We broke his laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay. It says, let's read that part again. It says, "Where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse." Okay. That's going back to the curses of Deuteronomy 28. Okay. It says, "And to be subject to payments." All right. That again, that's a sign that a people are in captivity when you are subject to payments, so to speak. Okay. Especially us as Israelites. We're really the royalty of the earth, but you see us, really being subjected to payments and such. Why? Because we sinned. This is a part of the curses that was placed on us, okay? To be subject to payments, right? So it says, "According to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God." Okay? So again, all of this is a result of what? Of sin. of breaking the laws of the Most High. This is what separated us from our God. And as we're seeing here, this is what also separated us from our homeland. Okay. This is why we were scattered. Okay. So with that being said, let's move forward and let's take a look at, one of the curses in Deuteronomy 28 here. Okay. So this is Deuteronomy 28 and verse 64. And it reads, it says, and Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people. Now, before we move forward, when you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, starting at verse 15, all the way to the end of the chapter, it's a laundry list of curses that would be placed upon the children of Israel if we were to sin, if we were to break the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave us. Okay. It's a long laundry list of curses that would be placed on us. Okay. And those curses would be a sign. Okay. It would be a sign as to whom the true and real children of Israel are. Okay. So with that being said, let's start from the top again. It says, and the Lord, or Yahweh, shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. So we see, again, sin separating us from our homeland of Israel. Okay. Us being scattered into all nations. Okay. From one end of the earth to the other. Okay. So it goes on to say this. And there, meaning when you get to these other places, these other nations, it says, and there thou shalt serve other gods. Okay. So you're going to go to these other nations and you're going to be around the people of these other nations. And when you get there, you're going to start to serve their gods. Okay. You're going to be assimilated into their culture. Okay. You're going to be like them. Right. It says, and thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. It says, even wood and stone. Now that last part is going into the two major religions that our people are in. Okay, the wood represents what? The cross, which represents Christianity. And the stone is dealing with that black stone in Mecca, okay, which represents what? Islam. Those are really the two main religions that our people are in, as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Again, the Bible is pinpoint when it comes to prophecy. Never fails. Okay? But the point is, we were scattered into all these other nations. We assimilated to their customs or their culture, and we start serving their gods. So because that happened, what did that make us? That in turn made us be looked at or known as Gentiles. Okay, what you got to understand, a lot of times in the New Testament, when you see that term Gentiles, depending upon the context, it could be talking about Israelites. Okay, now with everything we just read, let's actually prove that. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so moving forward, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2. And it reads, it says, ye know that ye were Gentiles. Now watch closely. Carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. Okay, now why did I go here? All right. This is Paul's letter to the Corinthians, okay, which were Greeks. Now, people in Christianity will automatically think that this is talking about Caucasians because it's in Corinth, right? That's in Greece. But again, this just further solidifies what we just read in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. Okay. Look at what this verse says. It says, "Ye know that ye were Gentiles." And Paul is about to explain what made them Gentiles. It says that they were carried away unto these dumb idols. Now, the fact that it said they were carried away unto these dumb idols lines up perfectly with Deuteronomy 28 and 64. What did Deuteronomy 28 and 64 say? It says that we would be scattered into every nation. And once we get there, we will serve other gods. That's another way of saying being carried away unto dumb idols. Okay, this lets you know this is talking about Israelites. This is a fulfillment of what we read in Deuteronomy 28 and 64. Okay? This cannot be talking about natural Gentiles. It can't be talking about the other nations, because they were never carried away unto dumb idols. They were born into idol worship. That's a part of their culture. So this can't be talking about them. This is talking about a people that left a certain place, went to another, and when they got there, they start serving other gods. They start serving idols. That's the Israelites. Okay? But not to digress too much, but this still goes into the lesson. Okay? This goes into us being separated from our God and being separated from our homeland. And all of it is due to what? It's due to sin, the breaking of the laws that the Most High gave us. Okay? So now, let's take a look at this. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 1 and verse 3. And it reads, it says, "The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider." Okay? So Isaiah is given an example of two animals, an ox and an ass, which is a donkey, right? Now, these are two animals that's typically known for, not being too intelligent, right? But the fact is, even though these aren't the most intelligent of animals, they still know who their owner is. They know who their master is. Okay? But this is in comparison to Israel. Okay? These dumb animals know where they come from. They know who their master and their owner is. But us as Israelites, we don't. Okay? We don't know who our master is. We don't know where we come from. Okay? And it's so bad that we don't even consider it. That's why I said we were going to get into this further into the video about how you can physically look at so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and you can see the separation between us and the Lord our God. Okay? When you look at so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you're looking at a people that it's a lawless and a godless people. And I say that because we don't even consider where we come from. We don't consider who the Lord our God is. Okay? And brothers can attest to this, just simply going out there on the streets and teaching. You just having this conversation with our people when we interact with them. Okay? Our people, we don't know anymore, and we don't even consider it. Okay? But again, this is all due to us breaking the laws that the Most High gave us. That's where that separation comes in. Okay? So from here, let's go back to the book of Baruch, and we're going to go to chapter 4, and this is verse 12. And it reads, it says, "Let no man rejoice over me." Now let's pause here. Now the "me" in this verse is talking about the physical land of Jerusalem. Okay, this is basically, telling how the physical land of Jerusalem is feeling, or the condition it's in right now. Okay, It's pretty much being likened to a woman right now, right? So it says, let no man rejoice over me, talking about Jerusalem, a widow and forsaken of many, who, watch this, who for the sins of my children, which is the children of Israel, am left desolate, because they departed from the law of God. There you go. There's your answer. That's what separated us from our homeland and from our God. It's when we departed from the law of God. It's when we sinned. Okay, there's your answer right there in one verse. Okay, it's showing the separation between us and our God, and the separation between us and our land. Okay, so now, with all that being said, how do we fix this mess that we're in? Okay, that should be the next question. How do we fix this? How do we close this gap? Or how do we close this separation between us and our God and us and our homeland? How do we become one again with the Most High Yahweh? And how do we become one again with our homeland? How do we return? Or how are we able to return back to our homeland? That's the question. So with that in mind, let's move forward and let's take a look at this. All right. So this is 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and verse 14. And it reads, it says, if my people, which are called by my name, which are the children of Israel, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, which means what? To turn away from sin. It says, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin. Now watch closely. And will heal their land. This is the answer, okay, to how we close that gap, how we close that separation between us and the Most High, and ultimately how we will be able to be delivered from this place and return to our homeland. Okay, we have to seek the Most High. We have to humble ourselves and pray and ultimately turn away from sin. Okay, we have to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our abilities. All right. Now, of course, we're not going to get it perfectly here in Babylon, and we're not going to get it perfectly here in these bodies we're in right now. Okay, which are subject to sin, right? But the scriptures tell you in the book of Judges, I believe 5 and 11, that in the place of drawing waters and the noise of archers, there we have to rehearse the righteous acts. Okay. Now, what that's talking about in the land of our captivities. We have to rehearse the righteous acts, meaning a rehearsal is, basically you practicing. So you have to rehearse the righteous acts, and the righteous acts is what? Keeping the law to the best of your ability. Okay. So basically doing the opposite of what got us in this mess is what's going to turn it around. All right. And it makes sense. Okay. So now with that, let's move forward and let's take a look at something. All right. So this is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 2. And it reads, it says, I am Yahweh, thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. Watch closely. Out of the house of bondage. Now let's pause here. Now there's a reason I went to this verse, because I want to establish something before we move forward. So I went here to show that we associate Egypt with bondage or captivity. Okay, that's why this place in the Bible, America in the Bible, is known as spiritual Egypt. Okay, because we've always associated Egypt with bondage. Okay, because that's where we really served our first hardcore captivity, was in the physical land of Egypt. Okay, so from that point forward, we always associated bondage or captivity with Egypt. Okay, just to make that clear. Now, I say all that to say this because I'm about to prove a point, and it proves the whole point of this video. Okay, we're going to look at things from a spiritual vantage point, right now, we're in bondage, and we're really in spiritual Egypt. Okay, so we've been separated from our homeland. We've been saying that throughout the duration of this video. Okay, so now let's actually go to Google and let's take a look at something real quick. Okay, so I went to the Google search engine and I typed in the distance from Egypt to Israel. Okay, as you see at the top there. Now look at the bottom left hand corner. There's your answer. This is the distance from Egypt to Israel, and look at that. It's 613 kilometers. Okay, 613 kilometers. Allow me to repeat that one more time. 613 kilometers. Okay, now we already know the number 613 represents what? It represents the laws, statutes, and commandments that the Most High Yahweh gave to us. Okay, so there's a spiritual implication here. Okay, the distance from physical Egypt to our homeland is 613 kilometers. Okay, that's why I went to Exodus 20 and verse 2 to prove a point. We always associate Egypt with bondage. Okay, so what is the spiritual application here? Or what is the spiritual implication, rather? The spiritual implication is simply this, okay? The only thing between us being in captivity and returning to our homeland is getting back to the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High gave us. That's the spiritual implication here. How do we know that? That's why a part of the new covenant is what? Is the law, statutes, and commandments being placed in our inward parts. Why? Because we are going back to our homeland. And once those laws, statutes, and commandments are placed in us, it's going to be a literal impossibility for us to sin. Meaning what? We will never be separated from our homeland or our God ever again. That's beautiful. It's wonderful. Okay? How the Most High Yahweh set this up. And I want you to take a look at something. I typed this in. I didn't give the unit of measurements that I was looking for. I didn't say what's the distance from Egypt to Israel in miles, yards, inches, or whatever. The search engine automatically gave me kilometers, and it was 613. Okay, that's how you know this thing is spiritual. That's not by happenstance. All right. But anyway, I believe this is actually a good place to end the video. And again, the title of the video is Separated from Our God, Separated from Our Homeland, 613. But yeah, this is why to this day we are yet in the land of our captivity. We're separated from the Most High Yahweh. We don't know who our power is. We don't know who we are. Okay? It's because we have broken the law, statutes, and commandments. And unfortunately, we continue to do so. Okay? Our people as a whole. Right? But again, the good news is you have the elect, the 1/3 of Israel that's going to return to the Most High Yahweh. Okay, and that's going to rehearse the righteous acts in the land of our captivity. And that 1/3 is going to be given mercy. Okay, they're going to be delivered from this place. Okay, before that ultimate destruction actually hits. Okay, so with that, and as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High Yahweh, which is the name of the Heavenly Father. And I do so by Hashem, which means in the name of Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the only begotten Son of the Heavenly Father, whom we know, or whom the world knows as Jesus Christ. And I want to thank all you brothers and sisters for tuning in. I hope this video was informative and edifying. And until next time, Shalom, family.